allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. I guess our first order is a technicality, right? Is a public comment on the ordinance.
Correct. What we do is the Section 16D of the Fire Protection District Act requires that when we take action, when one district takes action to disconnect a property to be annexed by another district, that both districts have a public hearing on that disconnection and annexation action. And it's a public comment per law. And so what you would do is open it for public comment from anybody, see if they have any comment to make on it. And then once it's done, you close the public comment.
So we will do that. We will open public comment on the ordinance 2017-04 authorizing the transfer of the properties between the Rockland Fire Protection District and the Libertyville Fire Protection District. And this is the property that is the Sheridan, thank you, Senior Care Center. So, we have any comment?
I've got a question. Are you talking about the Sheridan itself, or a week or two ago you were talking about some homes that were...
The Sheridan itself, the property that the Sheridan is on.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, the two parcels on, what is it, Waukegan and Atkinson?
That is correct. There's a third parcel which is in Shields Township, and that is not part of this because it is in Shields Township. Public comment? No comment? Right. Well, in that case, we will go ahead and close the public comments.
Okay.
All right. So next is the ordinance itself, which Brian has drafted up.
Right, and you've got the copies
Got
in
the
front
copies
of you
here.
there.
So I guess we're looking for a motion to approve the ordinance authorizing the transfer between the Fire Protection District and the Libertyville Fire Protection District.
Yeah, so 2017-04.
So I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 2017-04, authorizing the transfer of certain properties by and between the Rockland Fire Protection District and the Libertyville Fire Protection District, both in Lake County pursuant to 70 ILCS 705/16D.
Second.
Second, right? Any discussion on that? No. Okay, so do a roll call vote. All in favor?
No,
No, roll call. Okay, it's just what was written here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Grum?
Aye.
Trustee Snowden? Aye. Right.
Okay, so this is where Brian said we should insert this.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I will accept the signature.
Right, so this is the point where we've received a letter, and
I can do that as president, that's correct.
whatever you want to do.
Well, the only thing I was going to suggest is let's get these signed in
Yeah.
this
Okay.
Libertyville district.
I will,
Right.
right, I will do that.
Great.
Just to say, what we've had a request to move the non-agenda items number 17 up to this point right now because we wanted to talk about the Knollwood Block Party. So Dan, take it away.
Okay, Jeff, you want to, I don't know, you can sit, you can stand,
Sure.
you can do whatever you want. Anyhow, we received, for those of you who don't know, we received a letter from Jeff Urzo here, who is spearheading a block party, and he has come here tonight to discuss with us having some interaction between Knollwood Fire Department, Rockland Fire Protection District. I think he's got some info on Flight for Life, and as well wanted to know if we would contact Libertyville Fire Department and have the, if they would come over with a rescue squad as well. So Jeff, take it away.
Yeah, so July 15th, we're doing a block party. Donati's and Cheese Pub are co-hosting it. And we have band, music, Kings and Convicts Brewery. Nothing says Knollwood like the Knollwood Fire Department. So we would love for the Knollwood Fire Department to be out there, do some educational stuff possibly. I mean, the kids are gonna love the rigs and stuff like that, but as many of you guys that would, join us to do some educational stuff too, I think that would really tie it all well together.
John, are you all good with that?
Yeah, in fact, that was one of the things I had to speak with you guys tonight.
Okay,
to see
and
if it
then,
was something you guys would approve.
Right, and then explain a little bit about, you've set up something with Flight for Life? Or?
Actually, Neasley did. Joe
Okay.
Neasley, he put a request in. he has a tentative yes from them.
Okay.
So if, you know, barring that they don't actually have to do something that day, so if they could, you know, land and stuff, I think it would be great for you guys to set it all up and everything too. And I think the whole community would really like to see that.
Okay, and then Bob being the liaison with Rudyville, is everybody okay with him setting up the rescue squad coming over? Having a rescue squad there, so if the kids want to wander in and out, so they know what, they can do a little education on what to do if a rescue squad shows up at your house, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
Okay? Sounds great, Jeff.
An ambulance?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant to say. I apologize.
What date?
July 15th, it's a Saturday.
By the way, if you come, you're not allowed to charge for that.
Sure.
Come and drink beer,
Oh, yeah.
though.
Jeff, the only thing I need to do is get with you as far as logistics, as far as the setup.
Yeah,
Where you're
so,
planning on having everything set up, because we're gonna need a significant area to.
yeah, I can explain it now if we have a second.
Sure.
So we're using West Park.
Right.
So the potential spot for the Flight for Life, if they landed, would be in that third spot where the baseball diamond isn't. So you know how we have the 3 diamonds, and then I believe in the northeast corner, there is no baseball diamond, so that would be the potential spot. And then the playground, that first diamond next to the playground, that's gonna be like a kids kickball game, and that's where we wanted to do as much kid and family stuff. On the opposite end of the park is where we're gonna do the adult beverages, so we want to keep that completely separate. That's where we want you guys to set up by all the kids stuff, you know, whatever rigs and stuff like that would be right over there. So it'd actually be on here.
Okay, well, there it is. So you can talk to, see if they can bring up, yeah, if they got it in my minutes. All right, that sounds good. You'll coordinate with John and
Yep.
you can contact as well, I guess, Mr. Brum, and you guys can figure it all out. And it sounds like a great time. Thank you for doing that.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for including the district. Okay?
All right. Any other non-agenda items? Okay, moving down. Item number 5, consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 8th, 2017.
Those, I recommend we accept the minutes as presented.
Second? Okay. And this one, it's just a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Okay. All right, now we will open the floor to public comment. As usual rules, 5 minutes. Please be non-competitive and keep everything civil, and then that'll be great. Any public comment? Going once, going twice. We'll close the floor to public comment. Now the attorney's report, Brian?
Yeah. We'll keep you posted. There's been some developments down in Springfield. One of the biggest ones you're somewhat familiar with. You know, the law that talks about forced consolidation that had applied to DuPage, Lake, and McHenry. There's a bill that's passed both the House and the Senate that will extend that to all 102 counties in the state. And the other thing is, if there are townships or road districts involved, there's some pretty significant changes being suggested for townships and road districts. So if you're involved with townships or road districts, understand the game is afoot. And in fact, we work with a couple townships, and I told them, I mean, I haven't had a chance to go through the law, but I said go to township officials of Illinois, because if anybody's going to have an interpretation from their perspective, they'll be the ones who will be best positioned to do it. But there's other laws that are passing too, not critical, but when we get to it, you know, at a more quiet time, maybe like in August, when things have settled down and bills are actually signed in the law, I can bring you a summary of what actually has passed and was approved by the governor. So.
Okay.
But Springfield continues.
Even without a budget.
I was just gonna say, even with no money, that's still really high. Okay?
Okay, is that it, Brian?
That's it.
Okay, so item 8 is the resolution 2017-01, the prevailing wage, effective June 5th for 2017.
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 2017-01 for the Prevailing Wage Act.
Second. Second then, all right. That's going to be a roll call vote, so we'll do a trustee Rum?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan, yes. Trustee Rogers?
Yes.
Okay. Chief's report. Carl?
I only got a couple things. First of all, I'm not sure who exactly gets this from the board, but it's the ladder test certification. It's open the file for ladder, saying that we did pass our UL test on the ladder. In the next couple weeks, we're looking at sending out the engine to fire service. They still owe us a repair on our air conditioner for that vehicle, which is free of charge. But it does have to go to their shop, so we're trying to fit it in the schedule the next 2 weeks to get that serviced and running properly. But I will let you guys know if we end up sending it out, because we will not be available for any sort of usually at that point.
Who's doing that check?
Fire service.
So it's going to Indiana.
Not sure which facility it's going to go to. If it's going to go to the Illinois one or the Indiana, St. John's, Indiana, or depending on where they have an opening at what facility. We already covered the block party, so I don't have to go over that anymore. Lieutenant Grenon's tried to get the ladder and engine weighed last week for the FIS insurance recommendations. However, they were kind of backed up, so we're hoping this week they will be able to get weighed to complete that. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about that I've been looking into, I have not formalized anything to present to you. One of the things that they're asking for is a policy and procedure on hiring. In my opinion, that's a district policy. That's not going to be an operational policy of the department. I have no problem finding one and putting one together to present to you obviously for your approval. But I think that's also, or should, at least in my opinion, go through legal counsel as well prior to it.
That makes sense to me. I think you're the best person to start it because you already have your sort of practices for how you onboard and vet new firefighters.
Correct.
So why don't you start with that, and then so maybe find something, put that together, and then present it to us.
Do you have a boilerplate one to send John to work off of, or would you rather John?
I would say typically not,
Okay.
because you guys are part-time. Full-time, we got coming out the evening, but
Right.
part-time we don't get involved with. Although, you find a full-time one and just change some of the words and you can use that. I mean, you know, neighboring districts who have part-time folks, you can probably get samples too. And they probably have procedures. There's some things I would want to, you know, double check to ensure they're in there. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you want John to send to you then?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Because that way, you know, he can do the work and save yourself some money, and he knows largely what's there anyway. I can make sure all the, you know, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and then maybe I can send it to you, you know, the board for you guys review.
Right.
Who wants that VFAS?
Yeah. And one of the other recommendations is training on that as well, but there's not really a policy to train on yet, so there's really nothing at this point we can do until we have anything in place.
But we just have to tell them that. No, I mean, that's okay. We just have to let them know, respond to that and say we don't currently have that.
Just let them know we don't have a policy.
Well, no, get the policy for, train on the policy.
Right.
We're not training on the policy, just that's fine. And then we're developing one, and then once we do, we'll train them.
You've had a practice you used in the past, clearly. So what you're doing now is revising that practice and making it more formal for the district. Words are my business in that
I
area.
remember saying that.
Right. And the only other thing that was on there as far as a recommendation was the driver's license record checks and medical evaluations. I don't see a way of us at this point being able to afford to pay for the doctor's physicals on everybody.
Arrange for somebody to do.
Correct. The only other thing that I'm trying to get past to see if it's even feasible to do is to see if Lake Bluff would, their police department would just do a yearly driver's license check on all of our employees.
You want you want to reach out to Chief Belmonte, you want me to, or, and then if not, if he says they can't or won't, you want me to reach out to Sheriff Kern, or do you want to do that? I mean, if you want to put it on me, I'm happy to do it for you. If you want to take care of it, that's fine.
I have no, if you see him sooner than I will, it probably won't be till the end of this week before I'd be able to talk to him.
I'll just call him tomorrow morning if you want me to.
There's things there's legalities as far as what's called leads, which is a
Right.
computer program that we use in law enforcement to run. Whether or not it would fit in the criteria, I think maybe since that the sanctuary is in our district, yet in the village, that could be the tie-in for them to be able to do it.
Well, I mean, if need be, we could always do an IGA for that, anything that any authority they have, they can share with us. So that's, I mean, getting the paperwork to do it, that's easy.
Okay.
You know, but, and the statute says you gotta do it, so
Right.
there's not a lot of choice. You gotta
Right.
do it, it's just how can you do it most easily and
If
with
not,
least
it's
cost.
$25 to the DMV
Correct.
for every single one of our guys, and
So
that's.
would you like me to reach out, or?
Sure, if you'd like
Okay,
to.
I'll be happy to
That'd
do
great.
that in the morning for you.
And just tell them it would be driver's license status and abstract. They'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm lead certified.
Well, why don't you run? We paid enough money.
How many
Wow.
guys are we talking about?
Kaboom!
Yeah, wait till you see your $25.
How many guys are we talking about?
Yeah, roughly how many if you ask me?
Approximately, I would just say to 30 to 40
A year.
a year.
Okay.
And then that's, I mean, I think all we have to do is tell them that we've run those and we'll be within compliance. I don't think we actually have to produce any sort of documentation to them that we have. I know that we can't turn over the documentation that comes from leads to them.
We need to keep it though. I believe we don't have to give it to anyone.
I don't think we'll be able to. Because based on the printouts that come out of leads, that's actually a law enforcement document. That has to be actually kept secure within a law enforcement facility.
So how do you envision, so they run it, you look at it and
So
go, it's
basically,
good?
what I would basically do is create a form with everybody's name and driver's license status, you know, valid or not valid. And anything on the abstract that's pending, whether it be a supervision, suspension, revocation.
And maybe we should just name the driver's license number, pending negative information, yes or no. If yes, what?
Right.
You know, and that's really more for you to follow up on a one-to-one
Right.
basis.
No, absolutely.
But again, you have that and then sign it and date it.
Right.
Right.
And then we'll file that.
Right.
But as far
Okay.
as the actual printouts that come off,
Yeah,
of
you
those,
have
those
to-
aren't going to be able to
Good enough.
Okay.
leave their facility. As we brought up in the budget meeting, the boat motor was sent out for service and repair. I will be contacting Chief Graff, probably more likely than Chief Seaver, because I don't think they've had a use or need for that boat in probably a decade, to ask them to split the repair bill on that boat. Just so you know, we have about 30 residents currently living at the Sheridan. Approximately, I think we've been there 5 times so far. 2 of those have been ambulance calls. We were actually over there last 2 nights ago for a smell of natural gas in the basement. Was that last night? I lose track of days. It's just, you know, as far as they've been open a month, 2 ambulance calls in a month out of 30 residents, you know, maybe the numbers that we were projecting as far as call per bed per year kind of starting to march out. And other than that, I think that's all that I have.
Question on the,
Yeah.
when we talked about this, have you given them an update, just let them know?
I emailed her a while ago.
Okay, because they're, yeah, you saw the, forward emails, they've been pestering us.
I'll shoot her an email tonight.
If anyone would, just copy me on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just give her, status and tell her, we should, sounds like it will be fairly shortly from now that we'll have
Hopefully by the July meeting, I'll have the policy through Brian and then through
Which is this now? I'm sorry, I'm missing something.
the insurance carrier for the recommendations that they gave us.
Oh, okay. All right.
They keep
I
asking
thought
for
we were-
follow-up,
back on
where
the
are you,
calls.
where are you on this?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll email her tonight and let her know. We should have it hopefully by the July.
I think is that
That's
can
pretty
be,
much.
yeah, it's pretty boilerplate. Like I said, most districts, even with part-time, generally follow a procedure much like a full-time. You'll have a process, how do we test and evaluate?
Right.
And then, you come with the recommendation, they're appointed by the board. you know, with appropriate checks, you know, the background check, because, you know, not only the DL, but you gotta make sure there's no criminal activity lurking there, I mean.
And that was something else that, you know, there's programs and whatnot on the internet that you can use to find out different background reports on people that range anywhere from $30 to like $90. You could also ask Chief Almani if on new hires you could submit for a criminal history. Leeds does allow for a employment criminal history to be run.
Okay.
It doesn't cost them anything other than their records clerk's time to do it. And since, you know, they're our neighboring community that we work with as much as we do, I don't think or foresee it being an issue, but, and if it is required for an intergovernmental agreement, then we'll draw it up.
I think you hit the nail on the fact that we take care of the sanctuary.
Right.
And that isn't Lake Bluff. That should be the.
The catalyst to be able to get pushed through, no hope.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
John, as long as I have you, humor me, but I need some clarification just for my own peace of mind. Our response to Lake Bluff, when I came on board here, my understanding was that we covered the industrial park because of the tracks.
Okay.
And then based on listening to some of the calls where we were going further east, there was some discussion, and then I was told that, well, we're going up to Green Bay Road.
Correct.
Listening to some of the calls now, we're being called for ambulance calls on the east side.
And that's something that I'm currently looking into. It seems some of the dispatchers have not stopped toning us for everything. So it's going to be a clarification through Lake Bluff to Glenview to have that stopped.
Okay, so that was not the intent.
No.
Now, we obviously had an agreement with Lake Bluff on response.
Correct.
Was that through the board, or is there a written agreement for that, or is it just a gentleman's agreement between fire departments?
I would have to look and see if there's actually a written agreement. That I'm not sure of. That would have been prior to my time.
Okay.
Piggybacking on that just a little bit, I had sent you an email, and excuse me, sure you've been busy and stuff. I do want to get together with you and have a private conversation between you and me about things we've spoken about regarding joint services and compensations and stuff. I don't think it's ready to be a public conversation.
Correct.
So,
You're available next week?
I'm available when you call me.
Okay.
Right.
Let's plan on meeting next week.
Right, you give me a time that's available. Usually at between like 11 and 2 is good,
Okay.
or I can meet you any evening.
Okay.
You know, if evenings work better for you, 5 or 6 o'clock, I'm happy to come down here. You'll get my, okay.
So
All right,
just to
thank you.
clarify, your understanding where that cutoff should be is where?
Green Bay Road.
Green Bay Road.
Servicing the terraces
For
as
ambulance
well?
call. For wall, it's okay. So
It's ARA.
any fire alarm in their town, it doesn't matter where it's at, our ladder truck is due. Any fire alarm in our town, no matter where it's at, their engine is due to us. Any structural related calls, as far as smoke in the building, smell of gas inside, same thing. Both communities.
Okay.
Calls for service, meaning the chirping detector, meaning the elevator alarms, carbon monoxide alarms with no symptoms, we shouldn't be due at all.
No.
So why we're being toned for that, that's what we're trying to figure out right now.
Okay. My other question is, Lake Bluff has a contract with Lake Forest for ambulance service,
Correct.
okay? Yet we're being toned out for their ambulance calls.
Correct.
Now, I know that the Lake Forest policy or their agreement with Lake Bluff is that if Lake Forest shows up for an ambulance call and nobody from Lake Bluff shows up, the price they charge Lake Bluff is higher.
Correct.
Are they using us to be their response to avoid that additional charge? Or why are we being toned out for ambulance calls when they have a contract with Lake Forest?
You mean, why are we being toned for ambulance calls east of Green Bay Road? Or in
East of the
general?
tracks.
That was my understanding, the agreement that was made was that from Green Bay Road west is where we're supposed to be towing for ambulance calls.
When you say Green Bay Road West, though, do you include the entire the terrace? What I call the terrace, the west terrace?
Yeah, the
So
west
would it be, I know this is splitting hairs, but if it's Green Bay Road, I'm assuming you're gonna go to
Actually,
the
the
ones
only-
east of Green Bay Road in the terrace as well, and Tangley Oaks and all of that.
The
So it's
under-
actually east of, or west of the viaduct.
The understanding that I actually have, and it's not, I take that back, it shouldn't be the residents west of Green Bay Road. It was supposed to be the Park District building and the grade school, due to the high population of kids and whatnot, specifically during the day. So it was,
So no residents.
no,
You can, okay.
as far as I understood, so it was up to Green Bay Road, which would have been, basically Green Bay and 176. So it was the Park District and then the grade school and Jala that we would be towing for everything west of there with ambulance
Right,
calls.
and I would understand that to be really more of a mutual aid, right? I mean, because of the high,
Well, correct,
Well,
and it's
more an ARA.
it's
than-
ARA
yeah.
than
Not
mutual
mutual
aid.
aid.
It's automatic response.
okay. And what is the setup for all of the industrial part?
We're due on everything there,
Okay,
every ambulance call, but that also does represent the highest percentage of their ambulance calls is
Okay.
within, we'll call it the industrial park shopping area of.
okay. All right, we-
Now, when it goes to the industrial park, does Lake Bluff make an effort to come out there at all, or do
Oh,
they
yeah.
just assume we're taking it?
No, they do, they definitely do.
Okay,
And that's
'cause we're-
something-
We're still running about a 4-to-1 response.
With how much they've been toning us for the calls that we're normally not due on, yes.
Even
And
for 2016, we did.
approximately.
It was almost exactly 209 to 52. So it's almost exactly 4-to-1.
But also look at that too, and look at that and say, well, were we toned, we were toned, but did we actually respond? You know, was it canceled immediately, was it canceled en route? I mean, canceled en route is still a response, but,
Right, and we would still pay our guys for a call, right?
Sure.
If we respond.
correct. So that is something I actually Deputy Chief Issel and I were talking about the other day, and I've got the process started on that.
Yeah, I would, if there's
And
not a
as far as
written
Chief Seibert
policy.
going, as far as, are we considered Lake Bluff? That I don't know how, I could ask him. And
Yeah,
see what he
I'm
says.
assuming that if we were to show up and Lake Bluff didn't, that Lake Bluff would consider that a response through their agreement with us to fill that void.
Sure.
And that Lake Forest then would not be charging them additionally, but.
And then what was also set up was it was supposed to be if Lake Bluff was retoned. So if, during the time, so after the initial tone, if
Mhm.
nobody had gone en route from their department, I believe it's within the first 3 minutes.
Okay,
On the retone,
they would tone you up.
they would tone us for any of the calls.
Any of the calls, right.
So if they didn't have a response from their department within, I believe it was the first 3 minutes, that on the retone, our tone will be included with it.
Okay,
That was my understanding of it.
okay. If we do not have a written policy, do you think we could develop one so that at least the board is aware of what that policy is?
Well, and if, I don't even know if we need to go the policy route, why don't we just, if it's not there, why don't we just rewrite the ARA?
I'm sorry, maybe policy with the agreement.
Yeah.
Whatever the agreement is, if we could put it in.
I know that we have ARA agreements with Lake Bluff, they're probably ancient.
Yeah. But obviously, whatever that agreement is, it doesn't match what we're doing now.
Oh, I would have to say, I would have to guess and say absolutely not.
Okay.
And that's what I was gonna say, why don't you get the ARA and just update it?
Yeah.
Just to make sure it reflects what it should,
No, right.
whatever that is.
Right.
Because I think what we're doing right now is extremely generous, and I would be very curious if the situation were reversed, if they would be servicing us like we're servicing them. But I think it would be to our advantage to have the agreement spelled out in writing so that we're all aware of what that is.
I completely agree.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I think that would also,
Tie right in with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right, well, if Mike's available too, and the three of us can get together, you tell me what your schedule is and I'll do
Okay.
my best to fit into it.
okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so treasurer's report.
Okay, treasurer's report, Lake Forest. Bank and Trust Capital, $36,364.94. Checking account, $35,054.12. Lake Forest Bank Reserves, $173,573.32. We still have an open account in Northern, which will probably close up, you said, next month, you think?
Probably.
Okay, still has $26,874.79. Petty cash for a rainy day of $29.05. Total of $271,896.22. No budget tracking update for this month, so may I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Oh, okay.
I will second. Roll call vote. Bob?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Carl, yes. And just to, because with the Northern Trust, all the stuff there, I've got three small ones that are automatic.
Okay.
I just have to switch them over. And then there is some, some uncashed checks and things that have to be cleared up. So
Okay.
that's all that's remaining there.
All right, we went over the items on the Costco charge card totaling $673.60. The association's going to get back to us with a check on the propane that's about half of it, $340.01. Everything else is district related. As far as the checks to be approved, we have payroll, American Outfitters, which I'm assuming came out of the t-shirt and stuff. I assume that's jackets, correct? For Quartermaster. I cannot remember Quartermaster to save my soul. Countryside, Lake County Public Works. Lake Forest Bank and Trust, that's the loan. City card, I just went over. Groot, County Collector for a big tax bill. TDS, Air One, insurance, fleet services, gas, ComEd, etc., etc. Totaling $59,765.99 in checks to be approved. May I have a motion?
I will so move.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Dan?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Carl? Aye. Good.
Station lighting. We'll wait to hear from Mike on that, John, and if we can come up with a rough budget number, we'll insert it into next year's budget.
He just sent me a text saying he'll be here in 5 minutes.
Okay, well, you know what, then let's just hold on to that for the moment. Let's jump to 13. Do you have a copy of that, the draft?
I do.
Okay. I'll jump on this first. The only thing that I see, I think it's great, is on page 2D, or past D, it says community organizations. I just inserted or individuals using the facility must document liability.
Page 2.
Community. See D, the next line down, community organizations.
Yep.
I just added in there or individuals was my only change.
Bob, you have anything?
No.
Okay, I just had one kind of question of intent, really. When we get into the community use of the facilities, at the very bottom of the first paragraph where it says that the approval will be done by the fire chief or representative and the board of trustees, right? And then later on, the paragraph below the one Dan was just talking about, at the very bottom of that, it says that the fire chief will, or agent will update the board at the board's regularly scheduled meeting of any upcoming community organization uses. So, just do a couple quick little workflows here, probably a normal one. In other words, you get a request for a community use well in advance of it, right? And we're having a meeting between then and now. So you look at it, goes, sounds good to you, you bring it to the next board meeting, and as I read this thing that says, approval, the board, approval of the district facility shall be by the fire chief and or his representatives and the board of trustees. So, and then under that, you would give it to us, and we would actually formally say yay or nay.
Can
right?
we make this a lot easier on everybody?
Well, that's what I'm saying, possibly. Now, the other scenario would be if there isn't enough time. In other words, somebody came with you and there isn't a meeting, so then I would say if this isn't the intent, that, oh, yeah, because it's the board may approve or deny over here. So if it really is the intent to do that, then you would need to probably email the board members, get a consensus, and then let the person know, yeah, yeah. So what do you think?
What I would like to do is take a lot of the legwork out of all of this and put it all on the website. Somebody wants to use the room, no different than they fill out an application for employment here.
That's what I had as a note here, forms.
If they want to use it, the only way for them to request the use of the room is by filling out the online submission, to which no different than an application that is received for a new hire. It is then emailed to the three of you and myself.
Sounds great.
That
But
way,
that still begs to me the issue of communicating approval.
but then at that point, since all three of you will have it in the email, obviously it'll show purpose, you know, as far as what's the room going to be used for, how many, time frame, date.
But whatever the use is, John, I don't even want to discuss it unless you say yes. So if it doesn't pass muster with you, I don't need to talk about it.
No, and that's fine. I can, after we get the email, whatever, I can say I've received this. You guys should have received it as well. I have no issue with this.
Okay.
Bob, are you okay with this? Dan, you okay with this? Carl, you okay with this?
Sure.
You respond back to me, and
So-
that's, in my opinion, that's
Yeah,
approval.
Yeah.
So do you want the submission form, and then if it's approved, then they can come back and provide you with liability and the insurance?
Yeah, I think we
Should
need-
it be required for whatever
I
the
think we
event
need
may
to
be?
explain it out very well with
Okay.
on the website and within, you know, you may be required for this, you know.
Okay.
And then that
Okay, so
way,
if this is approved, then our web manager can
Well,
handle.
we'll still need somebody to draft the language.
Okay, well, this would be the guidelines, right? And then from there, you just want to submit a submission form.
And your policy provides that, you know, the chief can establish and maintain administrative procedure.
Right.
Sure, you're giving him the authority to do this, and wherever the form is.
Yeah, the form should be pretty basic, name, rank, and serial number, what you're gonna do, how many people, date and time.
Yeah, only because I've done light ones for other districts, and there's actually a little more involved, because a lot of times you'll have a front and back printed, and in the front will be all the details like you're talking about, you know, who are you and what are you and what are you looking to
Right.
do, and a lot of times the back will have a lot of the waiver stuff, so
So do you have one of those?
I'd have to look. I mean, usually those are one-offs, and I don't think I've done one in a while.
we actually have a place in like what's called Little House. It's this host of the village, you know, that people rent out for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, that I think has all the information that we're very much
Copy
looking
that?
for.
Yeah.
And that's something I can work with John on too, when he gets
Okay.
something, you know. But, I mean, the key is you need the guiding light first, and then once you have the guiding light, then you can do it.
All right. Sounds good.
No.
We talked about 14.
Well, do you,
Oops,
so
sorry.
for your policy, are you looking to approve it tonight, or have me make the one change that was noted for approval at the July meeting?
I'm ready to approve it if the other board members are. I just wanted to add organizations or individuals.
I'm fine with that.
So,
Okay.
okay, then I'll make a motion, we approve the district use of facility draft policy with one change.
As amended.
As amended.
Second? Second, right, okay. This one just do a voice vote, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make the change, and once I'll email, Chief, I'll email to you, but I'll also send it to Mike.
And then you'll get a copy from that little
Yeah,
house.
I'll get a copy
Yeah.
of that and start pulling it apart, and then,
Yeah, whatever, we get it, sure.
I mean, I don't think it needs to go into two.
You know, you got you got liabilities involved, so it's gonna be a lot longer than, like I said, it tends to be 2 pages.
Well, right, but as far as submission end of it.
Submission end is usually one side, yeah.
As far as the legalities, we can attach that as a PDF at the bottom that they must click and download
Yeah.
prior to submission.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, 14 we're going to work on, right, John?
Yep.
You and Mike? Okay.
15, we have talked about this a number of times, and I guess it was very clear in my mind, but I think it needs to be clarified once again. When I came on the board, I made it very clear at that time that I felt one of the major responsibilities of this board is to make sure that the people we represent, the taxpayers of Rockland Fire Protection District, are getting the best bang for the buck. And I've specified that the only way we know that we're doing that is to constantly have discussions with our neighbors and other entities that can either work with us or somehow have agreements with us to do certain things that make it more economical, more efficient. So I guess that was the reason that the board decided at one time that we would assign liaisons, Danny to Lake Bluff, Carl to Lake Forest, and myself to Libertyville. So I just want to make sure that the board is on board with this, that if I am a liaison with a neighboring community, that part of my responsibility is to discuss with them potential proposals or working relationships or whatever they may be interested in, not speaking as the board or representing the board, but in order to bring things back to the board to consider. I think that should be the responsibility of all the board members with the communities that they are liaison with. So I just am trying to make sure that we're all on board on that and we understand that that's part of our responsibility.
Yeah, I'm crystal clear. That's what we're doing with Lake Bluff, is working together to figure out ways to make sure that we investigate everything that's out there and make sure that we're properly compensated for the taxpayers of our district.
How come we didn't hear a proposal from Lake Forest Fire then, and only a Libertyville proposal?
Well, first off, it's not time for public comment, but,
Well, just ask the question.
all right, so,
Yeah, I agree, Bob, that in terms of have discussions and exploring opportunities, that's very appropriate for each of the liaisons. The one thing that I would say doesn't fall under that, under certainly my interpretation, and it had proven to be quite a bone of contention, is that the proposal from Libertyville to take over all services of this department, they stated that they would never have proposed such a thing if they had not been specifically, that had not been specifically requested by this board. This board did not ever specifically request that. This board has not, as of this date, ever specifically requested that. Sitting down with them and having discussions about the possibility of that is one thing, but until this board actually votes in a public meeting that we are requesting that, then we have not, this board has not actually asked Libertyville for such a proposal. And I think that's outside of the realm of having discussions with them about possibilities.
I disagree, because I think if I'm talking to Libertyville and they express an interest in pursuing something like that, and I say to them that if you would like to present a proposal, I will present it to the board, I think that's more than appropriate.
But you made the statement that you were not representing the board. And they have told me specifically they would never have done this if they had not been told that it was a request of the Rockland Fire Protection District Board. And
when did that happen? I missed out on that. When did they talk to you about that?
that happened many months ago. Mayor Wepler, and he's brought it up a number of times, saying, you know, we're not going we're not going to do another thing on this until this board actually requests that we go forward with this. He said they're just not going to get into it. They're not going to, you know, they don't want to push it down our throats.
And I don't think we're asking them to do that. I'm saying if they are willing to present a proposal to us, why would we not want to see it?
Right, but what I'm not disagreeing with that, but what they're telling me is they will not present a proposal, and they did not intend to present a proposal until this board requests it. And this board has not requested it. If you want to go talk to Chief Karani about the possibilities and what it might look like, kind of the preparation, but it needs to come back here to say, does this board want to vote publicly to ask Libertyville to present this proposal? That is, in my mind, is a necessary step to go forward with this. You can talk about it, but if they're looking for, this is what they're telling me, is that they're looking for a formal request from this board.
Okay, did we not go to Libertyville and Lake Forest and ask for proposals for ambulance contract?
Yes, and
Was that voted on by the board?
The board did approve that, yes.
I don't recall that was
Go back
ever
and look
done.
at the minutes, go back and look at the videos. I did bring
All
that.
right, well then, let me do this. Let me make a motion that this board agree to request from Libertyville their proposal for taking over fire and ambulance service.
Can't do that this meeting, you have to do it on next meeting, because there's nothing on the agenda that would cover that.
Well, this is under the update and investigation on contracting services.
Update, there is no action on that one.
Brian, an update on investigation we need to,
It would be better, if you envisioned action on it, it would be better if it had.
Well, no,
I'm confused.
Yeah, 'cause-
So what action would be taken? The action,
would be for this board to vote to request from Libertyville Fire Department a proposal on outsourcing.
It would be better under either 15 or 16 next time to have an item saying, action to request a proposal for
Okay.
services from Libertyville. It's just cleaner.
All right, Brian, let me ask you this. Is there anything that we're violating if I say to Libertyville, if you would be interested in proposing or presenting a proposal, I would be willing to take it to the board? Is there anything wrong if I were to do that?
because I've kind of done that with Lake Bluff.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully I didn't cross any lines.
No, and I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Libertyville is saying they're not gonna do anything without that. So if you really want them to do anything, this is what they've told me is a necessary step.
This is just the first I've heard of it, so.
And I was going to say, it depends on how, it depends on how the discussion went. And there you were, but I mean, if it was, I agree with you, Bob. I mean, if you just said, hey, if you've got some ideas, give us some ideas. But that's different than the board wants your ideas. And I don't know. So it depends on how the verbiage went there.
Because I mean, if I were to bring it back here and
Right.
present it to the board, and the board says, well, we don't like that, well, then it's done.
Right.
Right. But again, Bob was saying, this is what Libertyville's telling me, is that they're not going to, move forward with this until this board actually does it, because they feel that they got caught in a political, shitstorm, basically. And they don't want any part of that. They don't want to be the bad guys. They don't want to be the ones that they don't want to look like they're trying to take over our fire department. So they want us to make that request of them before they will actually prepare any contract language or do anything. You can talk to them about it. That's fine. And if they're willing to prepare that, but they've told me they won't.
Again, and I guess I'm just misunderstanding it from this end, that I guess on next month's agenda, I want to hear from all of our surrounding departments if they have ideas, whether it's consolidation, whether it's joining, whether it's whatever ideas they might have.
That's fine.
All right, okay.
Again, what I'm telling you is that it's Libertyville that's saying they want this.
Okay.
And I would say, Dan, maybe the distinction that as I see it, there's a difference between, let's take Lake Bluff. You and Harlow coming in and saying, Lake Bluff, we talked about X, Y, and Z, and we talked about the sharing of fire inspectors, code enforcement, ambulance, technical response, whatever.
Right.
We talked about. That's fine. In my mind, there's a difference between that and, you know, here's a formal written proposal by some, because that would indicate some degree of commitment beyond perhaps what that informal discussion was. The problem is, it all ties into what was said and how it was said, and how it was understood, too. You could have said everything perfectly fine, and if they read, hey, you know, they're not here, so if they read it the wrong way, I don't know.
Well,
But-
I'll focus strictly on Lake Bluff then, because that's where my deal is. If I'm talking to Drew Urban about whatever in Lake Bluff, and we come up with some kind of idea to work cooperative or whatever, and I say to him, well, you know what, Drew, why don't you go ahead and draft something so I can bring it back to my board?
Yeah, that's fine. The parallel to the, with Drew, if Drew would say, you know, Dan, I don't really want to work on this until your board tells me they really want it.
Well,
But he's not likely to do that.
No, but I'm the liaison, Drew, and I would like you to go ahead and draft it so I can bring it back and have something had in hand to discuss with my board. So I thought that's what we were doing, and that's what I've done when I've talked, and I feel like after I have a meeting with John and we get to where we want to be, that's what I'm going to be asking for.
And again, conceptually, I have no problem with that. It all depends on how it went down. I don't know. If you do that and you say do it, in fact, what I tell you, Drew, don't send it to you, send it to him so he can send it to you so we don't run into open meetings things, right? And to me, just so, because I like to know what the hell's going on. You know, I mean, I don't see a problem with that. The problem is if it came, you know, if the message was understood as being the board wants this, as opposed to the less formal, hey, if you've got some ideas, put them on paper, work it. What they presented was a pretty formal proposal, you know, and I think, you know, the degree of commitment required for that degree of effort in a formal proposal might be more than those informal discussions. But that's their choice. I mean, if you said, come up with a proposal, whatever they want to do.
Okay, so the board cannot authorize me to go to them and ask for a proposal?
Oh, the board, well, it's not on the agenda now for that.
All right.
That's the rub. But yes, it could.
Yeah.
Because that's the action. You know, they're going to approve you as the agent to go and seek a formal proposal for.
Okay.
And that's, you know, welcome to my world of gray. And, you know, 50 Shades of Gray wasn't invented in.
Well, it's just interesting though that discussion / action that I had originally on these agendas was offensive to most, so it was taken off. But that would certainly be a reason to leave it back on, so that when discussions like this come up, we can take some action.
And the agenda is yours. Collectively yours, not individually.
All right, I understand.
Okay, update on Lake Forest Joint Fire and EMS Task Force. We met with Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and Libertyville at the Lake Forest Public Safety on May 25th. Got to meet the new mayor. A couple of things that we talked about was there's a lot of discussion on vehicle replacement sharing opportunities. There's a little report that they shared, or just a press thing from that Winnetka and Northfield and Wilmette are now doing this. I think Glencoe's involved in that too, so you may be aware of that. I actually put together some intergovernmental agreements about how they will share equipment, making it very formal. So we're seeing more on that. Where departments are starting to look at their fleets together and maybe looking at their replacement and upgrades, looking and keeping in mind that some of the neighboring communities have some of the equipment, so they may not need to purchase it. So again, that's one of the things. We talked about consolidated dispatch. I guess the county has a task force on consolidated dispatch. talked about the property tax freeze possibility and how that could impact all of us. One of the big issues was, again, community engagement. To get people to understand basically, what the fire department is delivering, what it costs, what the impact on response times may be if in certain kinds of cost reductions. Again, trying to really do a lot of public awareness in the various communities. And then a big part of the discussion was also contingency plans. The Lake Forest getting together with Libertyville and Lake Bluff getting together with Libertyville to talk about the contingency of this department going away and what impact it would have on their ARAs, and how that, what would Libertyville do to cover the fact that they were replacing this department without adding any additional manpower or vehicles. So they're now having meetings with Libertyville to talk about what happens if we should not be here any longer. So those were some of the basic things that we talked about at that meeting. I think we're meeting again either late July or early August will be the next meeting.
Good evening, Mike.
Good evening.
Wrap back around to the item on.
Would like to wrap back around to station lighting update. We were going to put a number in the budget if you had a number for us to put in the budget for the lighting of the bays.
I checked into the 8-foot tubes with the LED tubes,
Okay.
two suppliers that I use for my business. They don't handle them.
Okay.
The only way I can find them is through the internet. I'm not comfortable with doing that for two reasons. I've tried it before. A lot of times they show up damaged. Then you got to return them. There's a lot of cost involved in aggravation. And there's enough aggravation in a good day. So I don't think it'd be the smart way to go, especially pertaining to any kind of a light bulb.
Okay.
In mass quantity. So another idea I got was to change the fixtures, put 4-foot, 4-lamp LED fixtures up. Those tubes are readily available in pretty much any supply shop anywhere, the 4-footers. The 8-footers, I think they're still a work in progress. You can get them, but they're not, you can't go to Home Depot and get them in all those places. So as a suggestion, we presently have 21 fixtures out there, so looking at taking those down, 21 new 4-foot 4-lamp LEDs. My cost on a fixture with tax is $59.40 each. The tubes, there's a sale on the tubes this month that just happens to be through GE. My cost on them with tax is $9.26 a piece, which is pretty reasonable for an LED fluorescent style type of tube. So if my math is correct, for 21 fixtures, we're looking at $12.60. For 84 tubes for those fixtures is $840, which would be a total, again, if my math is right, is $2,100.
Okay.
So for some miscellaneous, maybe some fittings, electrical wise, we threw another $200 onto it. That should be more than enough to cover what would be needed to take the fixtures down just in the apparatus floor and put the new 4-foot 4-lamp up.
Okay.
About 2,500.
I would say we shouldn't need any more than that with the numbers I was given today.
Since that sale is going on.
It's over at the end of the month, just to mention.
Okay, can we do anything without having it on the agenda as a,
For tubes.
as
Well,
an
because you
action?
should approve it in the budget. You got to add it to your budget item, but put the $25
$2,500.
or $2,500 in your budget
Okay,
because you're going to approve the budget.
right, and you guys would do the install on it?
Yeah, well, with enough, I'll get some help down here.
Okay, I told you I've got that lifted, that
Yeah.
helps you. All right, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but I think that's a screaming deal. I don't know why we say anything other than thank you.
Oh, the 4-footers, I mean, nothing like, oh yeah, they're $500K. Yeah, they're super bright.
Well,
But they changed my shop out. It was like
Yeah.
daylight. I couldn't believe it.
and the other thing, what you're doing is giving them direction to proceed, because you're going to come in with invoices and want payment, and so at the July meeting, you can approve those invoices, but you'll also have, at the July meeting, you'll also have your budget appropriation. So you've got two approvals coming up.
Yeah, no, that's.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah,
That's,
good.
And I'll go ahead
That's
and lock in this before we use any numbers to GE through, the Comet rebate is actually what it is, using the GE tube, so take advantage of that.
okay. That's great. That's the best news I've heard tonight. Okay. Thank you again.
Well,
All right, so. All right, we did the non-agenda items, nominations, resignations, terminations of members.
We're gonna be sending 4 different people letters, ceasing their employment with us, just since they have not been participating for in approximately a good long time. So I will get you guys an updated number for the insurance purposes after that. And yeah, that's it. We're gonna be sending 4.
Okay.
And I'll get you their names and whatnot. And what letters they're sent.
Yes, I guess that's it. Do we have a motion for adjournment at 7:32?
So,
Second, okay. Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.